Hi, this is Ken with another spiritual video. This video I'm calling Why is it so hard to become enlightened? There are a lot of people who are on the journey to understand more about life and what the meaning of life is. And at times they may get glimpses of what enlightenment is and feel the inner peace and the understanding the meaning of why we are here and what life is about. In reality, it's very hard to stay there. Although we get glimpses of what it is, we seem to kind of drift back to living life just as we normally live it and having all the problems and accepting all the results of living in a world that is so conflicted. But there is a reason that we drift in and out of enlightenment, and there is a way that you can remain with enlightenment in your life. Before I get into all of the details, I just need to do a little bit of review of what enlightenment is. There are three stages to enlightenment. The first stage is being asleep, the second is when you awaken, and the third is when you actually become enlightened. When you're asleep, you basically accept everything that you've learned in life. Everything you learn from the moment you're born until the time that you die is what I call the ego or the self. And when you accept and believe what you've been taught as you were growing up, as you watch movies, TV, talk to other people, observe what goes on in the world, you are asleep. You have no understanding of what the true meaning of life is, just what you've been taught what it is. When you awaken, which is the second stage of enlightenment, you begin to understand and realize that there's something wrong with everything that you've learned, that there's more to life, that even though you may have done everything right and you have a fairly comfortable life that you're living and you're surviving and you have friends and you have a house and you're married, there's still a gnawing feeling inside that you're missing something, that something isn't quite right, and you have a need to try to understand what that is. What that is your spirit within trying to contact you, trying to let you know that there's more to life than everything that you've learned. And you begin a quest where most people are on, where they search for answers. Enlightenment is the last stage. And what it is that you accept that everything that you've learned during your life simply wasn't true. And that what you've been told will bring you meaning and understanding and happiness and all the things and the material things you have really won't. You accept the fact that there is a spirit within every life, that every life is important, equal, and connected. And you accept the direction and you start to begin to hear your spirit. Although everything you've learned in your ego will always remain a part of you for the rest of your life, your spirit now comes primary in your life, and you follow its direction and its path through the rest of your life. Now, a lot of people, the majority of the people, are asleep by far in the world. But there are quite a few people who have awakened. They begin to sense that there's something else, that there's a difference that they just don't fully understand. And once in a while, they begin to get understanding and they begin to get an idea that, yeah, there is something more to life than just what I've learned. And I need to find out what it is. And every once in a while, you get a glimpse of enlightenment. You get a feeling of inner peace and understanding, and it feels wonderful. And you think, I'm enlightened. I have reached the end of the road. And then the next day, before you know it, you fall right back out of it and you're back being struggling to try to understand what's going on in your life. There is a reason for it. And to tell you how the reason is, I'm going to use an allegory. I'm going to describe a situation as to the reason people fall in and out of enlightenment. Now, what I'd like you to picture is a tall hill. On top of the hill is a door. And on one side of the door is enlightenment. But on the other side of the door, as you go up the hill and you reach the top of the hill, the part that you look at, that is all where you're awakened or asleep. Once in a while, you're able to get through the door and you get feelings like you understand, you see glimpses of enlightenment. But then you get pulled back through the door and you start to fall back down the hill. If you fall partway back down the hill, you're still awakened, but you still have to climb back up the hill to reach that door again. Some people fall all the way back down the hill and they have to start the climb all over again. And by starting the climb all over again, they have to struggle and deal with the things that they first dealt with in the first place. Now, there are a lot of reasons why you get pulled back through the door after you get glimpses of enlightenment. And many people who are awakened have reached that point. There are things that we call stressors. And basically, a stressor is something that you remember from earlier in life. Very often, it may be formed when you're a small child, and it brings you back to when you were there. And if the event first happened, what happens is you remember that, and it drags you back through the door as you remember the value and what happened to you, and you accept that, yeah, this did happen to me, and you once again fall back through the door down the hill as you deal with the stressor that may have happened. If we look at, there was a psychologist in the 20th century called Maslow, and he made a hierarchy of needs. And on the very bottom of that hierarchy was basic survival. And basically, just getting food, a place to live, water, safety, those basic needs were on the bottom of at its level. And there's a great many people who are at that level. But at that level, it is very hard to consider anything else but your daily survival. It's certainly very hard to consider awakening or enlightenment. If you lose your job, if you lose an income, if the death of somebody in your life, whatever the divorce, whatever it might be that can drag you back through there, you find yourself falling down the Maslow's ladder. And there are 5 stages to it, with the top stage being enlightenment. And you find yourself going back to just struggling to survive every day. And when you struggle to survive, it is very difficult in order to, to climb that hill. How do you get past the points of falling back through the hill? And that's the hardest point and the hardest last step that needs to be taken before somebody who was asleep became awakened and then saw glimpses of enlightenment. How do you actually pass through the door on top of the hill, go through the door, become enlightened, and not be dragged back onto the other side and back down the hill? There is a way to do that, and it involves accepting what you already know. And what I mean by that is that you accept that there is a spirit within every life, and that the spirit is there to teach you and guide you on your life. And by accepting that the spirit is more important and is present than the ego or everything that you've learned in life, and by following the direction of the spirit, by caring about everyone, not just yourself, about sharing goodness, not hate, by never speaking badly of another person, but only accepting who they are and trying to help them in their journey through life. By truly accepting this and by making the spirit predominant in your life and not the self or the ego or what you learned, by sharing what you are, by sharing your love that you have within yourself unconditionally with other people, you will not only pass through the door on top of the hill toward enlightenment, but you will remain enlightened as well. It is a very long journey. It is very difficult, but it is a journey that is well worth the trip, because once you become awakened, there is no turning back. You cannot go back to being asleep ever again. Once you're awakened, your whole life is changed, and you must confront what is going on in the world and within yourself. And what is going on is that your spirit has just started to get your attention. Once you accept that the spirit is there and will help you through life, and you share its goodness with the world, you will have reached enlightenment, and you will remain on the other side of the door. Until next time, this is Ken. It was good to talk to you again.